The Robo Clanker is finally here. Yeah, that's right, I said it. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew and today we're back with another unboxing. Today we're taking a look at our unboxing, let's kind of put like a bit of what's the name of the little star thing? I'm having like a brain fart, that little star thing, I don't know. When you need to like correct something, anyway. The S.H. MonsterArts MechaGodzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong 2021 Final Battle Edition. So basically what this is of course the MonsterArts 2021 MechaGodzilla. And let me be real here. I had no intentions of originally picking this guy up. I did see the promo pics when it was dropped because I do keep up with figure news. Via like the Godzilla store and everything, but I didn't really consider buying it. I thought that, well, they're making another MechaGodzilla. It's a repaint of the original 2021 variant. I think it was released in January 2022, if I remember correctly, which I don't own, and I don't intend on owning it because I now have this one. And it's like, well, came with all this upgraded paint, all the accessories, bells and whistles that you use in the movie. Probably not going to get it. I'm going to wait for the higher version. Yeah, newsflash. As of this recording, November 2025, Hiya Toys is not announced nor made one. Which is funny because when they had announced the line, they had teased the MechaGodzilla, but never actually went through it. And I kind of wonder why. 3 years in the line, they still couldn't give us a MechaGodzilla? Interesting. Also, this isn't mint in the box. As you can tell, there is some, like, dents. This is actually pre-owned, and as a result, any kind of like, to my knowledge, I do have all the accessories and the figures like in at least good condition. So this is going to be like my first time actually properly unboxing everything in my setup. So let's kind of get this started. I'm already liking how much we got here. Coming out all as one. Oh, instructions. Hold on. Let's put that to the side just so we can get. So I have no idea what this says. So it's just stuff for the proton screen, which it actually comes with a stand. First stand from a MonsterArts figure that I actually have. But I do know what it does come with, which is like nearly everything he used in the film. So we'll put the box to the side. Here's the main event. Now, if anything is damaged, because this is a secondhand listing, because essentially the story is, I found this guy secondhand. I was not intending on getting him. In fact, I was actually eyeing another MechaGodzilla, one from the classic films. And, let's try and see how oh, okay. So that's, let's take a look at the accessories. Seems like everything's actually well packaged. I like that. Let's put that again to the side. Put up the main attraction himself. Oh, wow. Whoa, you are a lot bigger than I thought you were going to be. Alternate hands. Let's pull those out. Alright, we got anything else left in the tray? Doesn't look like it. So we'll shove that off to the side there. Wow. Just look at this thing. In my setup, okay, so oh wow, that's actually kind of cool. Wait, oh my god, I didn't even realize. I forgot about this. Or did I actually know about this? I don't know. These like shoulder cannons can like lift up. I don't think it comes with like any missiles, but that is awesome. Like this whole like shoulder nape area-esque part can like move. I better treat this thing with like extreme caution because if I break it, it's toast. Ooh, nice. Let's take a look at the head here. There's the Maser, not the Maser cannon. That the MechaGodzilla 2003 is the one with the Maser cannon. Hold on, let's try opening up his mouth here. Look at the cannon in there. Proton cannon. That's awesome. I know it has a name. I just forget the name off by heart. Look at the mouth. Like those gears. Like apparently those are like the shredder grinder things. Those are awesome, dude. Look at the detail. The red. If I remember correctly, the original one didn't have red on it, but this one does. Well, like excluding the eyes and the tips of the spines, it didn't have red on it at all. This one, wow. Just, it's also made of like a die cast metal, which like, oh my god, this is so cool. That ankle though, that's awesome. You can bend really far down. And then you can kind of swivel off to the side like that. That's amazing. Ooh, whoa. That can really like go back and forth. Wait, hold up. Oh wait, this part can do it too? I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot of this stuff on this figure like I didn't even know about. Oh my god, the pistons. I knew about the pistons though. Because like apparently these pistons can come off. And for a while that was kind of like a deterrent. So if I open that up a little too far, I don't know how much I'm getting that on camera because I'm not even paying attention to the camera. The tail. Let's see. Fully ball jointed. Fluid as all hell. Kind of droops a little bit. That's a bit sucky. Not too long, but it's about appropriate length. Alright. Do the spines move? Oh man, that would have been the cherry on top. But I mean, at this point, like, you're already getting, like, all these bells and whistles in the figure. Like, what more could you want? Man, this is so cool. Anyways, alternate hands. Do these move? What's this one do? Oh. Well, that just popped right off. That's cool. Like the hands. Okay, so it seems like the alternate hands are already put on. So it seems like you get two of like these pinching hands and two of like these standard hands, which are like more kind of not necessarily relaxed, but have the fingers curled in. So that's interesting. I'm probably gonna have to glue that in because I don't think that's supposed to move. Unless it is. Oh, the whole piece comes off. Interesting. So I guess you can kind of mix and match. Although, I imagine mixing this with this probably wouldn't look so good. So let's go ahead and move this. That's MechaGodzilla. Let's go to the part where I'm actually, believe it or not, more excited about. And that's going to be the accessories, because MechaGodzilla is locked and loaded with them. Ooh, I don't want to, like... Okay. Thank goodness that didn't happen. Because, like, I was scared that if I had pulled the tray, because whenever you have a figure with, like, this many accessories, you pull open the tray and, like, it's stuck, and you continue to yank on it, and finally it does that. All the accessories within are not being held by that upper tray anymore, and everything's, like, gets launched. It sucks. Then you spend, like, 5 minutes trying to fix that. But also, as a collector of, like, 10 years now, it's actually very rare for my figures to come with, like, this many accessories. I think this is actually the first one that comes with, like, this much stuff, which God knows what I'm going to do with all this stuff. Anyway, the plasma punches, the plasma gloves. These look incredible. Just look at them. They do look a little bit oversimplified for my liking, but I can go with them. Let's kind of look at the rockets here. I think you're supposed to take one bit like this. So that's the ball peg you're supposed to put on the back, and then you're supposed to, like, put this in there. It's kind of like MacGyver it in. There you go. That looks sick. I love the translucent orange plastic. That's awesome. So then you can kind of like angle it. That looks sick. Just, uh-oh. Stuck. Oh, not really. Okay. So I'm going to put that back. Just want to make sure that they're all... Now, for the accessory of the owl. The Proton Scream Laser Beam. There we go. Okay, which way is it? So it looks like there's already a hole. I wonder if you can like punch holes in these ones. Okay, so let's put this one in there. This is my first time with like an atomic breath with a stand. I'm going to see if this works on Godzilla 2019's beam, because that's the only other Godzilla beam that I have that would work with a stand like this, because I don't have the cradles for Ghidorah's beam. The seller said that they like never bought it with it, so yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna assume that this is the right way. Let's try and make that look like a sideways M. Does it peg in? Because it almost looks like it does. I don't think it does, but this is a pretty damn large beam. This is awesome. Like, really, it is. I'm satisfied. You know what? I'm satisfied. This is already one of my favorite figures in the collection. And actually, just for good measure, let's pull out the 2019 Gojira. Oh my god, the size difference. I knew MechaGodzilla was like big. I think this is kind of pushing it, but who cares about scale right now? New MechaGodzilla. Okay, so trying to reassess myself. Okay, so let's get this. I don't know if it's gonna work, but where's the peg hole? Right here. There it is. Was this so hard to include? This is what your solution was to this, Bandai? Don't understand why they didn't include it on the new Empire Goji, but hey, I got a stand that I could use now. But also, look at how much longer the Proton Scream is. Let's actually kind of get like a beam clash here going, because they are kind of like similar when it comes to like the edge. Doesn't really lock in all that great, but you can kind of do it. Anyways, at this point, I think I'm pretty much giving my 2 cents of how I feel about the figure. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This thing right now is proving to be my favorite MonsterArts figure so far, because I am eyeing several more. And though I'm not an avid MonsterArts collector, this is a line that I feel like I've been really missing out on for years, because I've been so stuck with NECA. Speaking of NECA, I am still getting another NECA figure soon, but time will tell when that happens. So yeah, I'm gonna call the video quits here. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. I already said that. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. See you guys next time. Peace out, everyone. The modern advancement in Titan technology is finally here. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're here doing another figure review. Today we're taking a look at the S.H. MonsterArts MechaGodzilla 2021 from Godzilla vs. Kong Final Battle Edition. So for some context, I wasn't initially setting out to buy this figure. It was one of those figures where I was like, that looks cool, too bad I'll never own it. Yeah, that kind of aged piss poorly. But in all seriousness, I really did like the look of this thing. It was a major step up from the original, which I thought was overpriced dull and bland. It had a really good sculpt and probably really good articulation. I don't know, I didn't have it at the time. But the paint just left a lot to be desired, and it only came with, like, well, we'll talk about this in the accessories because it also does come with it, but it didn't really have enough to justify that cost at the time, other than it was the newest, biggest, baddest MechaGodzilla back in 2022. Fast forward to this year, and we have this guy, at least I think it was this year, I don't know. This dude is, like, packing a lot. But with that said, I found a deal on the secondhand market, snagged it up while I had the chance, and yeah, now I own him. So with that said, is this guy really the big bad MechaGodzilla we were waiting for, or is he just as pathetic as my brother views him? Just to context, he doesn't like the 2021 MechaGodzilla. So let's find out. So first things first is we're going to talk about the accessories, because that is going to be the main drawing point of this MechaGodzilla. And I'm proud to say that this is one of those S.H. MonsterArts figures where they really locked in, as the kids say these days, with the accessories, because there's a lot of them to go over. And the best part is you can actually use all of them to at least varying amounts of degree. So let's talk about it. First things first is that he comes with a pair of gripping hands, which in the film, MechaGodzilla does use these hands a lot. He uses them to punch, slap, kind of like grab, putting them into a fist and like sucker punch Godzilla or Kong. He uses them to do a lot of things. Also, I do forgive the dust and fur because I do have fur. Sorry, I have little furry animals we like to call cats. Anyway, so yeah, this is the kind of like little pinching hand, like little grabby hand. At first I thought the arm position was a little weird, but it does make sense given the context that it's in. Of course, you have the little segmenting here. It doesn't matter which hand you put it on, because they're effectively like the same exact thing. Because I don't think there's any L or R indicators. I'm trying to actually do a double check. Not really. Anyways, so to attach these has never been simpler. You want to take the figure and grab down about here, lightly twist, and boom. Don't lose this. Next, you're going to want to put this on, and boom. There is MechaGodzilla with his pinching now. Just for a little bit of comparison here, the standard hands you get are more like the splayed out motion, which makes sense again in the film. But do keep in mind that just a little side thing while I have these two pieces, let's kind of move MechaGodzilla back, is that there's another way you can do it. You can actually pop the fingertips, well, more specifically the knuckles, off. Trying to actually like do it here on camera. This is used, so I figured it would be a bit easy to pop it off. I don't want to like accidentally break something, because if I do, there goes like, God, I don't even know how much this thing's worth, like 150, 160 at US retail. Let's actually try going for this one. But yeah, the TLDR is that the knuckles can actually, oh, there we go. These can actually pop off. And let's actually pop this sucker off. You can actually mix and match the hands. So if you want to, you can actually have MechaGodzilla like curling in his fingers like this. This is actually really cool. This is actually what the original figure did come with. Just the hands here. So, hold on, I'm trying to find like the right corresponding hand here. Because admittedly, when you have like multiple hands popped off, this finger goes on that hand and that hand goes on this finger, it does kind of get a little disorientating. Come on. There we go. So, let's kind of put that. back to pristine condition here. Just like that. So yeah, you get, and keep in mind, it's like they're all hands. So this tip, that, here, and there can all pop off, and you can essentially mix and match to whatever you want. Now, just because I'm going to do this, and I want to make mention of this, these are individually put on, but they do not articulate. This one looks like it does, and at first I thought it was, but for some reason, mine has like this weird habit of like popping off. I'm gonna have to like glue that in. I'm guessing like the original owner of this thing probably went to town on this. Not actually, but like probably accidentally broke it. I don't know. But effectively, do keep in mind that yours may be like that. So because of that, I've had a few instances where that finger's popping off. Thankfully, I do have some crazy glue over in my drawer. So that's at least very much serviceable. But let's not stop there in terms of the accessories, because we have a lot more to talk about. Because if you want to talk about alternate fists, let's not forget these. Yes, these are his plasma boxing gloves, as I like to call them. Because in the film, he did charge up his fingers and he started punching. There goes my fan. Whatever, I'm just going to leave that thing whirling. Anyway, so effectively in the film, he supercharged his hands and he sucker punched the crap out of both Godzilla and Kong. And this is like supposed to be like an interpretation of it. So for the actual mold, it's going to be a translucent plastic that's actually fairly like malleable a little bit. Although this like blade tip, like the flame effect, is a little pointy. You're going to see what it looks like on the inside there. And of course all like the electricity like effects here are going to be made of more like a rubberized material. Not bad. Let's actually kind of like get a... I think they're the exact same mold, just mirrored on each other. I could be wrong, but that does look like the case. Anyway, so to put them on, same idea. Let's get rid of the fists here, and let's put in this one. Now, you're going to see how it's squared off. Put them to each corner, and of course the ball socket goes in like that as well. And bada bing, bada boom, your MechaGodzilla has now got his plasma punches. In fact, let's kind of get it for both hands, shall we? Yeah, there we go. Come on, there we go. Anyway, so here he is, his plasma boxing gloves. And there is like, okay, let's kind of like talk about this. The figure itself does kind of get weighed a little bit, so you do kind of have to like finagle it. We'll talk about more in the articulation section, but this is what it looks like with the gloves. If I did have a bit of a complaint, this might sound a little weird, but I don't think the quality of these matches this, because like you notice how like smooth and over, how plasticky it looks in comparison to the main body. I don't know, it just kind of looks a little off. And not to mention, this is more of a minor gripe, but in the film we still do see his fingers while he's punching. Here you have to get rid of the whole thing. God damn it, I just realized now I got 4 fingers on the ground. But anyways, that is aside from those, I do think that these are decent replicas of what we saw in the film. And because they are made of a softer material, if he does kind of like fall forward, he's going to have these to kind of like save his fall. And not to mention, you do get a bit of like a ball joint movement. We'll talk about that in the articulation department. But effectively, you can rotate all the way around and go a little up and a little down, side to side. But let's go ahead and get this guy back in order. But wait, there's more. Because if you want to talk about alternate body parts, let's take a look at the alternate tail drill, which again in the film, his tail does kind of like fan out and then turn into like this spiky drill. Unfortunately, we don't see it on screen, like actually being used, but we do see it in action, like as far as drilling, like the look of it goes. But effectively, it's just the same kind of like metallic piece of plastic with a clear tail tip peg in the middle. So putting this on has never been easier. You want to take the tail drill that's already here and just pop it off, and make sure that you line it up correctly like this, and bada bing bada boom, your tail drill is in there. I actually don't think it's supposed to spin. I mean, okay, it kind of does, but effectively you don't get like the woo 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 like it going 360, because everything, it's supposed to be like locked in there or something. But yeah, that's the tail drill. It's getting constantly out of freaking focus. Yeah, because you can kind of see the clear pegs in there, so you really kind of like gotta let it situate, and there you go. As proposed, they really don't like change a whole lot, even if you want to go like, oh well, that's different. Not really, but there you go. That's the tail drill. Moving on. If you want some more, say, firepower, quite literally, let's take a look at his rocket thrusters, which on their own, you get this little peg with a ball joint sticking out, basically like the thruster, and you get this cool little flame effect that you peg in like this, at least like that, and you get all this clear plastic, all in orange. And effectively, it's supposed to go on MechaGodzilla's back, which is a little tricky, admittedly. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to lift this big like compartment up here. Let's actually like angle the camera a bit up, just like this. Next, you're gonna want to like kind of pry in there, and then you want to make sure that this little back part is like shifted a little bit, as you can see. I don't know, I just undid it, but there you go. And you're gonna see that there's 3 to each side. The whole thing is gonna come with 6 rockets and 6 flame effects. So effectively, you're getting 12 pieces total to create this effect. So I'll be back when I have the whole thing. And after about 5 minutes of finagling with this thing, that's also a problem that I'm gonna have to also attend to. You didn't see it, but part of the tail popped off, but that's also going to be addressed in the video too. So you get 3 on both sides, like 3 total rockets, and effectively what this is supposed to look like is MechaGodzilla firing off and launching himself towards Godzilla or Kong, primarily Godzilla, because Godzilla did get his butt pretty badly whooped in the film. But as it stands here, these look actually pretty nice, and I do like the overall look at them. But would you believe me that we're still not done? Also, before I actually forget to mention, these are on individual ball joints that sometimes like to pop out. Like that. I'm guessing because of like the suction in there, the more you move it, the more it has the tendency to pop out. I don't know, it's a personal theory of mine. My name is Matthew, would expect Matt Pat. Anyways, yeah, individual ball joints for them, you can angle them which way you want, but let's move on. And here it is for the finale of the accessories, that is. The final accessory of this whole set. My cat's down there, by the way. We get an effect part with a stand. A stand, an arm, and the proton screen. Yes, so this is going to be a translucent piece of pinkish red plastic. And let's actually kind of like showcase this better like this. So as you can see, it kind of looks like a long red Twizzler, as I said with my Playmates review, but it's a lot more like electricity-ish. Of course, coming from a robot, that does make sense. But as you can see, it's just so jam-packed with detail. It looks the part as well. We have like this little, not exactly a peg hole, sorry, peg, because the mouth, oh crap, the mouth doesn't directly take the beam and let it hold, thank God. But all it does kind of like fit into it to signify that this is in fact MechaGodzilla's beam. But for the splash effect here, we have like this thing that almost looks like a rooted tree. If that makes any sense? And it looks like all pink. Now I'm kind of wanting like a drink. I don't know. Maybe I'll book myself a trip to Hawaii or like Rio and have like a nice drink on the beach. I don't know. Anyway, so let's go ahead and assemble it. So you get this stand, this big arm. I don't know which Tamashii stand it is. That's out of my realm of knowledge, because this is actually my first ever Tamashii arm. I know, because like every MonsterArts figure I've ever owned doesn't have an accessory, or does have them, but the seller didn't include it. But does have a hinge, and then when it's coupled with the beam, can swivel here and swivel here. And as I mentioned, I'm trying to find it right here. Let's just read the copyright info there if you really want to, but just effectively like a clear sheet of plastic that the bigger part goes right here. Nice like that. And nice small peg that goes in right here to the peg hole right there. And you notice how I got the gloves back on? That's because you're going to want to open MechaGodzilla's mouth up real nice, like that. And bada bing, bada boom. There you go. This is business right here. When it comes to accessories, I don't think that there's really, well, we might as well, like, again, just recap them all. So you get 2 alternate hands, 2 alternate gloves, set of rockets, jet propulsors, and the flame effect specifically, tail drill, the beam effect, the stand consisting of the arm and the base. This is literally peak. It's absolutely peak. I don't even think I've used the term on the channel before. If I have, probably will find out one way or another, but whatever. For all intents and purposes, this is peak at its finest. Because I feel like when it comes to the amount of accessories you're getting quite the payload here. Because you're getting rockets, friggin' plasma gloves, friggin' proton stream, that's absolutely awesome. Which also I forgot to mention, it is made of a softer plastic, but would not advise bending it any beyond that, just to test it. It's not like the Playmates version where you can just go back to Walmart and find like another one for like 10-20 bucks. This is it's probably already out of stock as I'm recording this. Anyway, so do I have any complaints about the accessories? I definitely think the plasma punching gloves could be a little bit more improved. But beyond that, I don't really have any complaints. You're getting the whole kit and caboodle with this thing. You're getting like the whole package. If there is one weapon that MechaGodzilla is theoretically missing, it would technically be the missiles. Because, spoilers for the articulation, but the cannons in question can actually open up. But beyond that, I don't really have any complaints. I'm gonna go ahead and say 10 out of 10. Well, actually more of a 9.5. I feel like a 10 out of 10 is being a little too generous. But a 9.5 out of 10 is just right there. That 0.5 is realistically just for those gloves. But I don't know, this thing is so wicked. But beyond this, it makes for one hell of a crazy as heck setup. And I'm just in awe with this thing. But before we actually get a little too ahead of ourselves, let's go ahead and take a look at the base sculpt and paint. So now that we finally have our accessories, the very lengthy list of accessories out of the way, it's time we go ahead and take a look at the figure itself, which, spoilers, is a repaint, yes, as I've said already. But effectively being a repaint of the original 2021 MechaGodzilla, which I think was released in 2022, and to my knowledge was based on near finalized or finalized renders from the actual film. Which, because like I do think that it was like made during the movie's production, so everything maybe wasn't final, whatever. Essentially, this thing was not made when the final movie was finished. This is going to be actually pretty damn close to the actual on-screen model, as we'll take a look at. But effectively, it's a repaint, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. For the sculpt and paint for the face, this thing is on a whole other level. The actual details here for the face, you can see all the cybernetic details and panels, lining, and it looks really nice. For the actual eyes, they are painted that like tiny little red dots. From what I can see, there's not too much detail on it. But to me, from here, it almost looks like a red nerd candy, so who doesn't like nerds? Anyway, for the actual like rest of the head, it is very well segmented and very well lined, detailed even. I do like the overall aesthetic we have of this thing, and it looks really nice just up and close as well. The whole head here is made of a kind of like a plastic, chrome plastic to be exact, with some like I want to say like kind of like a glitter shiny infused part in there to make it a little bit more metallic-y looking esque. And of course we have all the lineage on the head and the sides. They're a bit more smoothened out than they should be, but that's all right. But we do have again more like the detail work here. Bottom of the jaw, more line detail here. And let's kind of talk about the inner workings of the mouth, which for the mouth itself, prying that sucker open as far as it can go. The bottom jaw and the top of the jaw actually are grinders. So effectively, if you've seen those videos of where people throw like these these like little things inside these big machines, that's actually what these are, except they're maximized for titans. So when the skull crawler, if the skull crawler were to like get bit, then it would have been shredded to bits. Like, this is nasty just to think. Although the question is, because there's no opening here, where does all of it go? Dun dun dun. Anyway, so for the actual inside of the mouth, I believe the original MechaGodzilla from MonsterArts didn't have anything in the mouth aside from the hinge. This actually does, being the cannon that he fires with in the movie, being a red kind of like painted ring, and of course the two like little piping works almost acting as Godzilla's membrane, like the equivalent of their speaking. And it just looks so cool the way it just like drops down when you close the mouth. It's not there, and then when you open it up, it actually opens with it. Like, that's really cool engineering. I honestly really like the fact that they did include it, and it's not like an alternate head sculpt, and you can actually tell that it just looks the part as well. So that's something I really do like. For the neck segmenting, we have more like the neck ridges here, kind of like to simulate Godzilla's gills, even though they're not really. And then we have the red interior pipelining, which I think is actually what is mainly different from this release compared to the original. And, oh, well, there goes the tail. You know, I'm going to leave off the tail just because I don't like how freaking big it is. Constantly trying to, like, shake it around just to get, like, different angles of the freaking thing. We have, like, several lines of the, because I think, okay, sorry, going back to, like, the red mechanical detail. The original figure did not have it. This figure absolutely does, and it's fully on display here. Of course, we do have the segmenting of the metallic detail here going as well, and that looks really nice with the red. The next segments, the dorsal spines up here look really nice with some nice sculpt work and some maybe little paint jobs. The individual sculpt, as you can see there, so that looks nice. Of course, the very pointy, kind of like rough faded ridges up there. So those look nice. For these shoulders, which are, actually, let's talk about the chest. We have some red panel lining and then some more pipe work, which are also going to be painted red, as you can see. So that looks nice. A lot of like the cybernetic details. Here we have for the front all like this beautiful mechanical components. And then we have all like this majestic side, like the red just looks so well applied. And it just looks really nice. Overall, like just really well done. Just all like the line work here, as well as the chest cannons, which yes, they are. I'm gonna be probably just, oh well, there we go. Just to kind of like show you, because they do open up. I don't know why I had like such massive problems, but there you go. That's what they look like. No missiles, obviously, as I mentioned before, but let's just go. Hold on. Something that I kind of found out the hard way is that you got to close them. If you want to open them, you open them from the bottom up. And if you want to close them, you close them from the top down. Because the thing is, they kind of like get in the way of each other. So just be mindful when you're opening that, because that hinge is probably really small and could very well snap. Anyways, for the, let's actually just talk about the dorsal fins, because they're pretty simplistic. We don't have a whole lot to go over them. I, again, do apologize for all the fur. I do have cats, so. Just all the dorsal plates here look really nice. Very simplistic, very rectangular, but they're very shiny, and I do like how they're segmented. And they do look the part as well. Very nice indeed. Of course, we also have like these, this shoulder flaps being very well detailed, not so much in the way of paint. Also, let's kind of like flap this sucker open, which is shockingly harder to do than expected, because we actually have the shoulder cannons in there, which if I remember correctly, they were not supposed to include the shoulder cannons, but MonsterArts did anyway, and so there you go. Anyway, so it's also just for safekeeping, let's dropping that piece. Can I pop it out? Yes, I can. So yeah, it pops open on a hinge. So you can see. As you can see, just close it back up. Putting the finger on, because I did say previously that the finger does have a bit of a problem. But yeah, that's that. Anyways, you get more of like the shoulder area with more like the pipe work and the pistons here. It looks very nice and very close to what we saw on film. More or less like the reds on the panel lining a little bit here. And then of course you have the axes acting as MechaGodzilla's mechanical armor, if you do so wish to speak. More or less here on this side as well, where it's a bit more blocky in comparison to other MechaGodzillas, but we do have the red panel lining inside. Looks very nice, and I do like the aesthetic here. And just like overall, the amount of detail you're getting, in my personal opinion, just cannot be beat. Also, just to run it out to this side as well, there's realistically no difference, little to no difference, that is. I really gotta glue this thing. That's kind of annoying. Also, for the hands, these are gonna be the base ones you come in with the box, so these look really nice. You do kind of get to see the little buzzsaws. No, they do not move as expected. Maybe if this was an overall bigger figure, they can move. Because Gigan's moved. 2004 Gigan, more specifically. But not this one. Anyways, so that is going to be it for the hands, just for one last overview. So you can see here. And next, let's go on to my personal part of the figure, the legs. Now, for the leg detail, I actually love this thing a lot. It's got a lot of nice segmenting, although we have like these free-floating pieces there. At least I think they're supposed to be free-floating. I don't know. This one especially has been like really loosey-goosey and just does not want to stay put. And of course, we have all these pistons, which are going to be tapped into the articulation soon. We have all this like incredible line work here, and it looks so good. Here at the back, without the tail, you can kind of see more of it. Well, let's try and like focus that in a bit more. There you go. Look at all that segmenting. This really looks like a mechanical Godzilla. That looks nice. And for the feet, pretty alright. I didn't even realize we actually had screw holes. So there we go. Screw holes on a MonsterArts figure, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so for the actual tail, let's actually apply this correctly. Also, I would like to make mention that it does seem like the previous owner of this guy had to like super glue the ball joint in. I wonder if that's like broken or there was just to like tighten up the thickness, because there was like a super glue trick online that I heard of. Anyway, for the tail, it is entirely segmented with all like the individual segmented details here. Pretty much more or less the same work that you've seen on the spines. Essentially, one segment is almost identical to the next, and it just keeps getting smaller, 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 until we get to the tail drip end. Tail drip. The tail tip end. Tail drill tip. There you go. Which is going to be the standard one with it being enclosed. And of course, we have all the like the little line segments on this one. So it looks pretty well done, and I do like the way it looks. So overall, like, at least just for one last view, here's the bottom shot, the side shot, the front. Oh, that's also another problem. I don't know if this is courtesy of the actual figure, probably not. But mine has like this really bad reoccurring issue where the whole like tail segment here just comes undone. And I realistically don't know how to fix it, because if I try doing super glue, I fear that it's going to, because like super glue is really running, and if I try doing that on this figure, it's going to like badly screw up the joints. So it doesn't actually happen when I'm like rotating it, which is weird, but it only happens like very circumstantially, because like here I'm trying to tug it and there you go, but if I try pulling it or do anything else with it, it stays put. So realistically, it's like a side to side motion that kind of does it. I don't know. Anyways, back to the MechaGodzilla at hand. I think that the overall looks of this thing are just amazing. I do love the overall aesthetic. Do I have any gripes? Well, maybe some parts of the figure do look a little bit too smoothed over, like this when you like lift it up. But at that point, that's kind of like more minor nitpicking. And I'm really happy with the way this thing looks. Like, this is sculpting paint wise, like super freaking close to the on-screen MechaGodzilla. And I'm baffled this thing is just now entering my collection. I mean, then again, this is a newer figure, so what am I really expecting? So for sculpting paint, I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what? I'm going to say 10 out of 10. I realistically have no problems with it. It's just the articulation I have problems with, which we'll get into now. Now, as I mentioned, this is a used figure, so what I'm about to describe does not showcase the figure when you actually get it in hand. I don't know what is happening upstairs, but something is going down. Anyway, so let's go ahead and judge the jaw here. We have the jaw, which is on a hinge, which you can go pretty much this far down and this far up. Looks pretty nice. For the head, let's actually kind of go like this. For the head, you can go up, down, left, and right, and you can actually rotate a bit, which the head itself in the film was actually pretty expressive in that it was like able to look a whole assortment of different directions, and it does look the part. For the neck, we actually have, let's actually move 1 and 2 segments down here. So you get this segment here and this segment here, which do kind of work in conjunction with each other, but look like they have different purposes. This neck piece, you can actually get a very nice rotation out of. I think comfortably about up to here. I don't want to go anything beyond that because it feels like it's going to scrape or like break. And then this one where you can actually get somewhat of a rotation, but you can actually go up and down. Pretty damn nice, side to side. Nice. Just look at that. So using the 3 joints, you can go pretty far down, pretty far up, and just overall nicely done side to side. as you can see there. Anyway, so for the shoulders, here we have like the collarbone-esque area. Not really collarbone because there's no skeleton inside this MechaGodzilla, unless if you were to count the ghidorah skull. Maybe? Anyway, so we can go kind of like outwards, inwards, pretty much on a what appears to be a hinge, because I can only realistically get like a back and forth movement. But these little flaps, they're on hinge joints, so we can go up and down. But using those, we can actually move the arms a full, not exactly flawless on mine, but effectively a 360, as well as there is a hinge on this. Actually, it's on both of them, but it's very limited, and I'm kind of scared to move it because of the way it's engineered and how stiff it is. Because if I pull too much, I'm gonna break that that bicep swivel, or the kind of like shoulder swivel. So I can't really go out and fetch another one, at least not at this time. Anyway, so for the elbows though, we actually have a swivel hinge, so we can go hinge like that, and go like this, and we can rotate a full 360. Pretty damn sweet. I don't know what's... I'm hearing like all this creaking on the figure. Not in the good way either. And for the wrist, we can go full 360 and go up and down. There's no like clamping motion, which is weird because the Playmates giant one did it. But I guess because that one's giant, I suppose. For the torso, there's no midsection here, which is weird in my personal opinion because MechaGodzilla did have a very articulative torso, and I definitely feel like they could have included something like that. But for what we do have here is these free-floating pieces. Not only, let's pop this thing off. Freaking tail end. Of course, there goes the finger. So you know what? We're just going to leave those off for the rest of the articulation section here. We have the legs here, which are going to be using this very weird piston system. Effectively, what MonsterArts tried to do is replicate the actual design in the film, which MechaGodzilla's legs are controlled via pistons, but I don't feel like it was needed to include on the actual figure because all that just does is restrict it. Because when you go out to the side, like that's as far as you can go, and at least on mine, I can barely get any forward and back. This one, you can actually kind of get a little bit more forward and back, but it's not by much. Also, the thigh swivel, yay. There is, I think, instructions that you should take the pistons out. But at that question, that kind of begs two things. One, if you're going to ask the customer to take off the pistons, why include them like that in the first place? And two, where are you going to put them? These things are so freaking tiny. They're barely bigger than the thickness of an M&M. Anyway, so yeah, thigh swivel, as I was talking about, the knees. There is actually no swivel here, but you do get some actually useful pistons that do hold everything together. And it does look very realistic. Thank you. That's how to do the pistons. Also for the legs, we actually have like this foot guard and this ankle guard back here that allow the foot to go forward and back and kind of like seal off the gaps if you want to. Just like that. And the foot can also go side to side and go pretty much all the way around. It is also made of a die-cast metal, so there's that. And finally for the tail, let's pop this sucker back on. Fully ball jointed, beautifully segmented, and just has a lot of movement. Pretty much individually speaking, all individual ball joints until you get to about this segment where it is pretty much just a solid piece. The whole actual like tail length isn't all that long because proportionally it is accurate to the film, but you actually do get like the ability to go up and down. It is a little too fluid in my opinion because it does kind of like droop. Like look at that. So unfortunately there is that drawback. But for the articulation, I definitely think that there are a lot of things about this figure that I do overall enjoy. It's very expressive with things like the head, and more so less the arms. The lack of a torso movement or any sort of torso joint is a bit disappointing because, like, I think if I am correct, this is one of the only MechaGodzillas to have articulation cuts in the design itself in the torso area, and you don't include that. That's a bit disappointing in my opinion. But for what it is, I definitely think it's pretty damn sweet, and I do enjoy what we have here. The legs, the pistons, no. There's no reason to do that. And the tail, honestly, is really nice, has the right ideas, but it just needed a bit more tightness. But to that I say, the articulation gets an 8 out of 10 from me. So for some size comparison / size references, here he is compared next to the MonsterArts 2021 Godzilla and the 2019 Godzilla. Which, oh my gosh, the size difference is something to feel really uncanny about here. I will admit, personally, I don't feel like the size difference was this exaggerated, and kind of points towards my claim that this was more based off earlier concepts from the film. Because here's the thing, earlier test models, I should say, from what I remember from the actual films, weren't actually that far off MechaGodzilla wise, because yeah, dorsal fins may have been a little bit bigger and such, but to my knowledge, apparently like this size more works for that than it does in the final film. Because MechaGodzilla was definitely bigger than Godzilla, at least pre-Godzilla Evolved, because for that he grew, I think, like 128 meters for that, whereas MechaGodzilla was like, oh god, I can't remember how tall he was, like, but he was 400 feet flat. Godzilla was 393 feet. So realistically, there should only be a 7-foot difference between the two. Does that look like a 7-foot tall difference? Really think about that. Anyway, so just to really like show, like emphasize how much bigger MechaGodzilla is, this would ironically be a fair fight if both of them were like worn down at the end of their films, but let's move on. And for another set of size comparisons and size references, here he is compared next to some NECA figures with Godzilla 2019 V1 and the NECA King Kong Classic Original variant. Which I have to say, in all honesty, this is not a fair fight. The NECA gets absolutely dog-stepped if these two were to actually fight. But then again, NECA didn't come with any accessories to help them better prepare, so. But obviously, they are not in scale. I mean, maybe these two. I mean, he's like only 25 feet tall. He's about 400 feet tall. You know, that not that far off. And here he is compared next to the largest S.H. Monsters figure in my collection, the 1991 Ghidorah. Which, no, I don't own the Monsterverse Ghidorah, and I probably won't own him unless they go on sale with him, and I'd rather pick up the Haya just because it's more bang for your buck. And just for a brief one, here he is compared to the Haya Toys 2021 Godzilla vs. Kong Heat Ray Godzilla original variant. And here's what I will say. This, in my personal opinion, scale-wise, and quality-wise at least, works the best. Because this is probably my favorite scaling when it comes to a 2021 Godzilla vs. MechaGodzilla face-off. Because this figure is about the same scale as the MechaGodzilla here, and he isn't that overly small in comparison to MG. That said, if you want a Godzilla to go with this one, pick up this guy. He's $51, I believe, depending on where you can get him in stock. Haya Toys rolls out stock decently frequently from what I know. So $51, can't go wrong. And finally, here he is compared next to the Playmates MechaGodzillas with the Battle variant and the original with Heave variant. And here's what I will say. The Playmates have served me well over the past few years. I got them in 2022. And yeah, they have served me very well, being prominent parts of the collection, being my personal favorite of the Godzilla vs. Kong line. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun with them over the years. But listen, I knew from the start that these things were never going to be able to serve me forever. And now that I have the Monster Arts, I genuinely am kind of at a crossroads with these two. I'm not sure what their future in the collection holds, but I'll keep a hold on to them. Also, for anyone wondering, this is what he looks like with the Playmates Proton screen. Anyway, so for the MechaGodzilla Final Battle Edition, what do I think of this figure? And do I recommend him? Honestly, he is killer. I'm just going to say, he is killer. The sculpt work on this dude is amazing. His articulation, while limiting in some areas, is overall very expressive, and I am happy with the way it turned out. The accessories, that's where you're going to be getting this thing. The accessories alone are the thing that warrant this guy a purchase. If you like the amount of things that it comes with, and you like the amount that you're getting for one package, what's not to love? Maybe the price, I'll say, is a bit kind of like a steep climb because I did get mine for relatively cheap by comparison. But that said, you could very well find the same one I did too. Well, it's exclusivity, but you get it. Right now as I'm speaking, I'm recording this in November 2025. So the holiday season is about to hit. So if you really want one, if you want to treat yourself to one or buy for a family member, go scour every platform that would sell a Monster Arts figure like this one. Big Bad Toy Store, Amazon, even eBay, even though I really wouldn't touch eBay. This figure is going to go down in price for that holiday season, so it's going to be very much the perfect time to get it. So with that said, do I recommend him? Yes, I absolutely do. Without hesitation, this is the definitive MechaGodzilla action figure. So with my final rating, I'm going to give this thing a 9 out of 10. Let's actually bump that up to a 0.5. It's personally, I'm going to say it, my favorite Monster Arts figure in the collection. There, I said it. More so than Ultima, more so than 2019, more so than 2002. Although the 2002's articulation really does step up. Anyway, I'm getting off track. If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys next time. Peace, everyone. Boy, this was a long review, wasn't it?